this formation now is extremely difficult. Very, very, very difficult. Can't tell you how difficult this is. It was done the first time yesterday in practice. Now, displays all over the world. I would suggest to work on this. These guys got this play together. Yesterday, one hit. Thousands experience up there, including John Lamont, the Warbirds display pilots at previous Wanaka displays. UC 130, 120. That Australian tail rotor, very, very quiet, but not as quiet as the no target we saw earlier on. Mr. Huey's been back down to the Kluger again. He's probably got a bucket full of water and some salmon. Stones. Well shot. All these Bambi buckets. Bambi buckets. Don't have to walk. A lot of people love to hear that sound and see those water buckets. Can't even tell you how many lives they've saved and how much property they've saved being able to put out fires when nobody can get to them on the ground. Huey, that is a nice picture. On a flight seeing trip in a helicopter, you've really missed out. There's that MD 520 no tail. You'll see there's no tail rotor on that, just the long thickened boom. They fire air out through that and it actually compensates for a tail rotor. Much safer aircraft, very quiet.
You can land it in very, very tight spaces. You can actually stick the tail into a bush quite safely without any problems. We're talking about the exponents, the best exponents of helicopter piloting. Of course, the founder of this very air show, Sir Tim Wallace, pioneer.
So depends on what the conditions are like, and of course there's not much wind up there, so we'll probably see that towards the end of his routine. Those are the big G manoeuvres, those are the biggest.
Snap rolls.
There must be a whole lot of rubber in there.
Look at this. Oh, shebang.
Yep. I was told once that was the headache you get from drinking too much Slivovitz. And now, if I'm not mistaken, this would be what he calls the death spiral.
You'll hear the power come off. That's the... no, not quite. Very soon. Now he's inverted now. He's upside down. Here we are. Righto. There we are. He's upside down. Flat spun.
Inverted.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we are. Totally under control.
And you can hear the airframe. You can hear it protesting up there.
You can. Oh, there's heavy loading. Blakey treating the Spitfire quite as severely. Listen to these engines. that lovely? Gorgeous weather for flying. Look at that smoke just hanging out there. Peter, we talked about this yesterday. Hardly a breath of wind there at the moment.
Nice half Cuban. Purpose, and of course the bread and butter is formation flying.
Absolutely. A chance to get your picture taken in front of it later on.
If they wash it.
Beautiful formation there.
One of these things you see coming along the runway.
Further around there on the back of the flight line.
I'm going to bring Mark Harrelson back in again because we've got two. Then and now.
Very nice track.
It's an American icon, but in late 1939, the Royal Air Force was looking seriously at methods of quickly increasing. In New Zealand. A little bit of reflective glory from your right, B-51.
Alright kids, can you see there to the right? Get up on Dad's shoulder quickly. Here we go. Woohoo! Pulling up for a lovely aileron roll. Look at that, it's a no-brainer.
Just cut it out, you two. We've got a Spitfire in front of us.
The Packard, there's about 1670, so similar power. This TR9, of course, as Trevor will tell you in a moment, wasn't a
First Spitfire prototype, the Type 300, was flown by Supermarines. Chief test pilot, Mike Summers. Summers told the engineers not to touch anything.
those wings, Trevor, that lovely, what we call elliptical wing shape. For you young people who haven't seen a Spitfire profile, look at those wings. That's what gave the aircraft so much of its beautiful performance. Its climb rate, its turn rate.
Well, interestingly, Jim, a lot is said about the beautiful elliptical wing of the Spitfire, but Mitchell was not into poetry. The elliptical wing was really the only answer. This aircraft actually was really intended for the Mark 8, but the Casper Reds
And in there you'll find a tent from the RNZF Museum in Wigram. That's well worth a visit to both the tent and to the museum if you're over in Christchurch at all. They've got some absolutely fabulous examples of historic aircraft and examples of other jobs that the Air Force as time as possible in the hot area on the ground. Now that smoke down there is really, really important because it, one, marks the landing zone, and two, it also shows the pilots what the wind direction is. Like all aircraft, you need to try and land your helicopters into wind whenever possible. In the lead aircraft today, we've got the captain of the flight is Flight Lieutenant Kane Sanson, but helicopters can do them too. And at the end of that, we'll see Red 2 break out, and he'll come and land at the crowd centre, hopefully. Now, really, really amazing for us today, flying Red 2, we've actually got an exchange pilot. We've got Captain Wilhelm Gerrisbeck from the German Army, who's been with us over here for nearly 3 years now. And it's his absolute pleasure to be flying the display today, and he's hoping for lots of beautiful photos that he can take home and put on his wall of his office back in Germany. Operated by number 3 Squadron, which is based at RNZF Ohakia up in the Manawatu in the North Island. It's just showing off now, I think. Primarily, these aircraft are used for operational support and also training of the New Zealand Army in tactical air transport, special ops and aeromed evacuation. However, we do also support many other government agencies, such as the Navy, the Police, Civil Defence, Department of Conservation, very regularly, carrying out lots of tasks, search and rescue, VIP transport, and very often disaster relief. Now, these boys have coined this particular display manoeuvre the rabbit, at the back and over the front. They'll be looking very clearly at where that smoke's going so that it doesn't obviously impede their vision. And now we've got a vertical lift off from Red 2 there. Slightly different to way a fixed wing would do it. So rotating and showing just how quickly the helicopter can get up to a nice, useful altitude. And our stretcher, Red 1 coming in from the right-hand side of the runway, ladies and gents, so he's going to come and we'll show you how we operate the winch on this aircraft. So, hanging out the back door, you'll see Buck, our crewman. Now, if this was in a combat environment, ladies and gentlemen, you can have absolutely this position. So you'd have the second aircraft running in to collect and Kazabak, the guy from the ground, and you'd have the lead aircraft sitting up in a standoff position, so he'd be able to provide information to that aircraft that's closer to the ground on hostile forces, on any other threats that they might encounter. Rick Davies there, hanging on the stretcher, bravely being winched away. And if you look up, you'll see Red 2 now positioning. As soon as 1 is clear, he's going to put the aircraft into a spiral descent. Now, this is the most effective and quickest way to get this aircraft back onto the ground.
That's when you landed with the RPG-7s in there.
Nosing over, and there he turns. Over his shoulder into the spiral descent. It's been a pretty amazing year this year for the Royal New Zealand Air Force. We're celebrating our 75th birthday this year of the official Air Force being set up. There have, of course, been other iterations of Air Force previous to that. But we put on a flying display last week, and we're hoping to show you today just how far our Air Force has come in those Corsairs. The Kitty Hawks, all been operated by the Air Force, to the aircraft that we're operating today. The 1960s technology of the Iroquois, and hopefully later on for you we're going to have our newest toy, opportunity for photographs, and the crewmen in the back will be helping out the pilots with their positioning here, but also they'll be happy to give a wave. So if you see them come past you and you're beautifully done, and really that sound of the Iroquois, that distinctive wop 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 sound speaks for itself. So the Iroquois will be back later on, hopefully, a door open, and from there they're going to break into a normal circuit height manoeuvre. beautiful. That's flying around. Obviously, they can turn in such a small area, but these T-56 Allison engines are superb, and the aircraft is designed to be very maneuverable. So you can see the need for a big aircraft. It stays quite close to the airfield. There's our SH-2GC Sprite from nice number 6 Squadron. They'll be back later for their display, so I'll talk more about them then. He's going to come around and descend for a less than half the speed he came through at before. He's going to have his flap and gear down and the bomb bay door open, so this will be a really good photo opportunity. While they're positioning, some history on 5 Squadron for you, ladies and gents. They were formed in 1941. And the reason for their formation was that the New Zealand Air Force was finding and experiencing a rapid need to expand due to the threat of an inevitable war in the Pacific. They were initially based in Fiji with Vincent aircraft, and then they had less than half the speed he came through at before. He's going to have his flap and gear down and the bomb bay door open, so this will be a really good photo opportunity. While they're positioning, some history on 5 Squadron for you, ladies and gents. They were formed in 1941. And the reason for their formation was that the New Zealand Air Force was finding and experiencing a rapid need to expand due to the threat of an inevitable war in the Pacific. They were initially based in Fiji with Vincent aircraft, and then they had, ladies and gents, it's made by a company called Kaman from the United States. 6 Squadron up at Whanaka operate 5 of these aircraft, and they usually have at least one deployed on each of the frigates and one on category. So again, these pilots spend quite a lot of their time away from home. Lately, they've also started to deploy their aircraft on the 2 offshore patrol vessels, Otago and Wellington. So this is because that's where our expertise lies, and also the naval pilots are trained by the Air Force training system. Okay, using that rotor disc now for a quick break. And a quick stop to crowd centre. There's a spot turn, so he's going to show us some manoeuvring, and we'll have some vertical climbing here, so up and down. So really good opportunity for those of you with cameras, because it'll be nice and close to the crowd line. He's going to show you some turns through 90 degrees, 270 degrees, and at the end of this particular manoeuvring, he's going to run along the crowd line, so all of you should hopefully get a good shot of him. Then he'll be getting airborne with them. So I have to say, I think if you were sat in a boat out at sea, you'd be pretty happy to see this sight coming towards you. Knowing you've been spotted, knowing someone's going to do something to help you. With the door open, out goes the minimum aid delivery device. And carefully manoeuvring that winch to the survivor on board. The winch person, or as I'm told, Winch is how she prefers to be known, Flight Lieutenant Kaylee Martin today. She's served with the RNZF for many years, spent most of her time as aircrew as a flight steward on 40 Squadron. And after a bit of time there, it was decided that she could spend some time with the Navy also, so she was posted to 6. And she volunteers regularly to dangle underneath the helicopter like this, so it's obviously something she enjoys. So boys and girls, if you can see her being winched up, give her a big wave. Kaylee Martin. And once she's safely on board, the Sea Sprite will move off, simulate returning to the ship where it would deposit its survivor, and we'll look down to the right to see the DC-3 depart.